This one you just have to be straight up with them because not every caregiver is going to be comfortable. Hi there, and welcome back to Tuesday Tip. I'm Brenda with Caregivers Collective. Last week, I talked about something I'm really glad I did early on in my caregiving journey with my dad, and that was asking for help early, before you need it, before anything. And today, I want us to dive a little bit deeper on that. You know you're going to need extra help and you're not sure where to start. What is even a respite caregiver? How do you find someone? You're supposed to interview someone. Once you do hire them, how do you make it work? That's what we're going to be covering today. Respite caregiver is someone who steps in to care for your loved one so that you can step away. It could be for a few hours, half a day, maybe a full day, or even overnight. We've done that with our caregiver. She has stayed a week in the past. Jay comes to our house twice a week. It's been amazing. A respite caregiver is not a replacement for you, not there to take over for you permanently. They come in to give you some breathing room. How do you find someone? Before you start Googling, ask the people in your network first. I found Jay through my sister, actually. My sister's a registered nurse. She happened to be at work one day. She was chatting with one of her patients, happened to know a caregiver because my sister had brought up that my dad was moving in with us. You might be surprised, a name that comes up. Personal referral, in my opinion, is the best approach because you're not vetting a stranger from a list. Ask your friends, ask your family, ask at your loved one's doctor's office, community groups, your church, your loved one's church. Another option that I think is underrated is staff members at a memory care facility or at an assisted living facility, especially if your loved one maybe had a brief stay there. Definitely check that out. If you've exhausted your personal network and friends and family and you just can't find anyone, I would suggest going on to websites like care.com or A Place for Mom. The only thing with that is you can't just pick up the phone and call someone and then have, a conversation with that person right off the bat, right? You're going to have to, create an account and do the email and do the whole thing. So if you're okay with doing that process, then by all means, go for it. I would really encourage you to start with your personal network first. Do you have a couple of names? Now it's time to do the interview. I've put together 5 questions that I think are really important for you to ask. First question, what experience do you have with dementia or other memory impairment conditions? Ask them for specific examples. How many patients have you seen with that type of condition? What kind of behavioral changes have you navigated? Let them give you specific examples. Question number 2, how do you handle a situation where the person in your care becomes confused or agitated? And ask for a specific example. This is going to tell you a lot about what kind of temperament they have. Obviously, you want someone who's calm. That's the person that you want, is the person who's going to be patient and understanding of these unique behavioral challenges. Question number 3, are you comfortable with incontinence care? If they say yes, then ask them what's your routine looked like. If they don't have any experience with incontinence care, ask them if they're comfortable learning about it. This one you just have to be straight up with them because not every caregiver is going to be comfortable doing this type of intimate, hygiene for your loved one. And you just need to know right off the bat if they're comfortable with it or not. Question number 4, can you provide references from previous clients or families? This is huge. I mean, if someone doesn't have not even 1 or 2 references, just move on. You need to be able to talk to the references directly. That's another red flag, I would say. If the person you're interviewing is reluctant about putting you in touch directly with the families that they've cared for, that I would say is not a good sign. Actually call the references and ask them what was their experience like with whoever it is. Did you have any issues? Definitely follow up on references. And question number 5, what's your availability? And actually this is like a 3-parter. What's your availability? How much notice do you give if you can't make it for some reason? And are you open to overnight care? So let's break it down. Obviously the first one is going to be the important one. Does their schedule work with your schedule, work with your loved one's schedule? How much notice do you give if you're not able to make it? Things happen, okay? People get sick or something comes up. They have their own emergencies. needs, how much of a heads up are you going to give me? That's really important. You also want to know, do you have a backup? A really good sign is them telling you, I have, X, Y, and Z to cover for me if I'm not able to make it. And trust your gut too. How do they communicate? Are they responsive? Right? That's a huge one. Do they seem genuinely interested in the job? The other thing I would encourage is doing kind of like a meet and greet between the caregiver and your loved one to see how they're meshing. With my dad, I didn't actually do that. I mean, maybe I should have, but I wasn't concerned that my dad was not going to get along with her. My dad pretty much gets along with everyone. You know your loved one better than anyone else, so you're going to have to make that call. So here's the part that I feel like doesn't get as much attention, and it's actually the part that was really tricky for me. Hiring a caregiver for your loved one to come into the house is the beginning of a relationship, okay? And like with any relationship, there needs to be clear communication. And that sounds obvious, right? But when you're a people pleaser or you struggle with confrontation, which, hello, that's me, can feel really uncomfortable, especially when, you like each other, right? You like them, your loved one likes them, and they've kind of become integrated into the rhythm of your household when they come over for a day of care. It's the little things that don't get addressed that then can turn into bigger issues, because think about this. The person you hired is not only coming to your house to care for your loved one, but they're also interacting with your house, practical things that maybe you don't really think about, but you want to kind of give them an overview. I came in with the idea that the caregiver needed to constantly be doing something with my dad, right? Like puzzles. She's going to read to him. She's going to color with, like that she had to be by his side the whole time. It was like that first handful of times that Jay came over, and my dad was not into it. Okay? He likes his space. He's more chill. Let's watch TV. You're going to have to just kind of navigate it. I really think that the best caregiver is the one who understands kind of how to strike that balance, where they see the person they're caring for, they see what they're into, they're flexible, and they're gonna be able to kind of go with the flow with your loved one. So here's today's tip, and it builds directly on last week. Start looking before you feel ready, because I had that thought and I touched on it last week. I really thought I'm not going to get a caregiver just yet, and I'm really glad I didn't listen to that. I think where primary caregivers get into a lot of trouble is thinking that they don't need the extra help, and so they keep going and grinding and preparing food, cleaning and laundry and like all the stuff, and then you wake up one day and you're so completely burned out that then you probably don't have the bandwidth to hire a caregiver. You want to avoid all of that. You want to give yourself that breathing room right up front. Start looking to see what you can do. If your loved one can only afford a few hours a week, that's still something. Getting someone in the door while your loved one is still relatively stable means that they have a chance to actually start building a relationship with the caregiver. You don't want to be hiring a caregiver when you desperately need it. Your loved one, maybe had a surgery or something like that. When the care starts getting really intense, that's when you'll be so glad to have had a caregiver already in place versus the other way around. If you want to be able to reference these interview questions, I'm linking a blog post in the description. If you're new to incontinence care and you're feeling really overwhelmed about the types of products, or you're not sure what a booster pad is, I put together a free guide. It covers the 7 essential incontinence products, what they're called, what they do, how much they cost, so that you can shop for these items with confidence. If this video helped you, please subscribe. New episodes coming out every Tuesday. I will see you next week.